Akwaba, good evening, Majo, and welcome to Ghanaian language class. We are here today to learn about Ghanaian language. My name, Medindi Ama. My name is Ama, and I'm giving you my day name in Twi because that's something that we're going to go over during today's session. As it's our first session, we'll be learning about how to say your name in Twi. And just bear with me, this is my first live broadcast, but I'm very happy to be here with you all today and sharing the Ghanaian language of my forefathers and many of our ancestors with you all. When I was asked to start this class, it was based on the importance of speaking in African tongue, in African language. And it is very, very, very healing. And we're going to be going over some basic things about the language. First of all, there are several languages that are spoken in Ghana. And they have some similarities and many differences as well. One of the most commonly spoken languages is Twi, and that's the language that we will be focusing on in this class series. We'll be focusing on Twi. Twi is spelled T-W-I, but you can see that it's not pronounced as you hear it in English will be pronounced. It's pronounced Twi, which is T-W-I. And as we go through this class, you'll start to realize and experience some of the healing aspects of learning an African language and learn about different things that your mouth can do and different ways and tones that you can reach. So that is actually part of the healing process. And a lot of the language is tonal, and a lot of it is doing different things with your mouth that English does not normally do. And so basically, we will be focusing on Twi during this class series. However, we will be covering other languages that are commonly spoken in Ghana and introducing as a whole different languages and communication skills for those who are interested in traveling to Ghana or learning about Ghanaian language and culture. So again, we will be focusing on Twi. Other languages that we will cover is Ga, Ga Dangbe, and Ewe. So we will go into those languages more in the future. However, today we will start with Twi. Twi is a language that has several dialects. As we go through this class, please make note that we will be covering the Ashanti or Asante Twi. Okay, we will be talking the Asante Twi. Asante Twi is one of the most predominant dialects of Twi. However, as I said, Twi is a language that has more than one dialect, just like you might have a different way that people speak English, for example. Like in America, people speak American English, and in Britain, people speak British English. So Twi, it has more than one dialect. You have Fanti Twi, you have Akuapem Twi, and those are regional. So Asante Twi is spoken in the Asante region, as well as in the Branhafo region. And as we go through this class, you'll also be introduced to different themes of Ghanaian geography. The Asante region is a forest region in the inland of Ghana, and it borders with the Branhafo region. and they speak Asante Twi. The Fanti region is a coastal region. And it's a Cape Coast area, and that language is called Fanti. Fanti. So it's a dialect of Twi, but many things are different. We will not be going into that language in depth. What we will be focusing on again is Asante Twi. Another dialect that you have is Akuapem Twi. Akuapem is the mountain area. So you have such places like, if you're familiar with Ghanaian geography at all, or national sites, you have Abri Gardens and various other beautiful places in the mountain area of Ghana. And that is the area where they speak Akuapem Twi. And again, we will be going over Asante Twi. Asante Twi is commonly taught in schools. For example, at Legon University, if you take a Twi class, what you will learn is Asante Twi. So Asante Twi is the predominant Twi that you'll see. However, again, each geographical zone has their own form of Twi, and other languages as well when you start to go into other regions. For example, the people who reside in Accra, which is the capital of Ghana, and many of you who are not very familiar with Ghana language will say Accra, but it's not Accra, it's Accra, which is the capital of Ghana. They speak Ga in that zone. So just as an introduction, we will be going over those languages in the future. And because we are such a diverse country full of many languages, we'll give you a slight introduction to the various different languages. But I'm not going to overload you because many of you are first-time learners to the Ghanaian language. So today we're going to stick with Asante Twi. So to start off with, we're going to go over what I greeted you with, just so that has a base point for you. When I started this podcast, I said, Akwaaba. Okay, so it's best that as you're learning this, you do take the time to say it out loud for yourself. So I'm going to repeat it again, and then I'm going to give you a chance to repeat it, and then I'm going to repeat it again, and then I'm going to give you another chance to repeat it. So, Akwaaba. Akwaaba. I have a live participant here, so you may have heard her repeating, and she actually did a really good job. I hope that everybody else out there did a good job too. I'm going to repeat it one more time for you. Akwaaba. Akwaaba. Very good. So that means welcome. And in Ghana, when you come in somewhere, people will say welcome. Akwaaba. When you reach the airport, it says Akwaaba. There's a very famous song that's an international song, and they use the word Akwaaba in the song, so it says Akwaaba. So you can really hear the way that word goes. But it's very common that people will say welcome as soon as you come in somewhere. You don't hear that as much in America, or which is where I'm podcasting from, and I think most of my viewers are. So I'm using that as a reference. You won't hear that as much. You won't hear welcome. So actually, when you get to the airport, you see a big Akwaaba sign, which is spelled A-K-W-A-B-A-A, Akwaaba. Okay, and we're gonna go over some of the different spellings and stuff. I think I can write some stuff out for you guys here, but I'm just familiarizing myself with this, so I'm gonna write out Akwaaba here for everybody, which I just wrote out, so it also helps me to see again, I can give you the spelling, is A-K-W-A-B-A-A. And that ending sound that you see, A-A, at the end of Akwaaba, is a common sound that will differentiate between things in Twi. So you have to listen again because it's a tonal language. So you have Akwaaba, and the ah sound comes with two A's. It creates a ah, almost the way you would see a AH in English created. And we're gonna go over sounds as we carry on. So now you have learned Akwaaba, which is welcome. And that's a very big word in Twi and used when people come in the house. You can say Akwaaba, welcome. And so something that we're going to go over again, I'm going to introduce to you in just a second, is how you respond to that. So the second thing that I said to you when we started this podcast was Majo. Okay, I said Majo. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and tell you what that means and spell it out for you here. So I said Majo, which actually means good evening. Majo, Majo, good evening. And there are responses for these words. And the responses are unique to Twi, different from English, because they have to do with the culture. The culture is very conscious of eldership. So each response will change according to who you are talking to. So I'm not sure about everybody out there, but I do know that I don't know if you're an older man, or if you're an older woman, or if you're a younger man, or if you're a younger woman. But depending on that, it'll depend how you would respond to me. So we're gonna go into that. And what I'm gonna do first is give you guys the greetings for while we're on that, for morning, afternoon, in addition to Majo, which is good evening. So we wanna say Majo, Majo, and that means good evening. And you can again see that AA, just like the Akwaaba, you can see the Majo, and that Ma is that AA sound. So we also have Mache, okay? And you're gonna learn a new sound in seeing that spelling if you're following along with the spellings. Mache is good morning. Mache. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, you can look at your loved one and say, Mache. Or you can go into your workplace and say, Mache. And if you're looking at the spelling, again, we see the double A. We see M-A-A-K-Y-E. And that is a slight introduction, as well as the Majo, into some of the sounds that are unique to Twi. Because what you see is, with Mache, you see K-Y-E making a ch sound. And that's something that you will learn is a regular sound inside of Twi. Just like Twi, Twi, Twi. It has a ch, but there's no consonant like you would have in English. It's T-W-I. Now for Mache, that K-Y is actually going to make almost a CH sound. So I'll write that out for you. KY will make a CH sound. Okay, so we have Mache, which is good morning, and Majo. Okay, and I'm gonna write out for you that the DW will make a J sound. Majo. And I'm going to give you the last greeting, which is for the afternoon, a common basic greeting. And that one is Maha. Maha. Okay? And again, you will see that AA making the I, maha. So now you have all the times of the day, and I will specify them on there so you don't forget if you are following along diligently. Afternoon, you have majo. So when I see you, as I saw you when I started out tonight, I said majo. Okay. Evening. Good evening. Mache. Good morning. And then I have maha. Good afternoon. Now, we're going to go over how do you reply? Because here you just say, good afternoon to you too. But that's not how it is in Twi. Okay? In Twi, we say a response based on whom you're talking to. So if I'm talking to my elder who's a male, then when he says to me in the morning, mache, I reply, yaja. Okay? I reply, yaja. All right. Yaja. And again, you see that double A for the ya. And what you see for the aja actually means father. So again, that is the response. Yaja. Medasi. My sweet sister, sweet sister, just brought me some tea. So I had to say Medasi, which means thank you. Medasi. Okay, so we're just gonna throw that in there for you guys now because we are living the language. Medasi. Thank you. And you'll hear that different places, a lot of different people have developed to use that. Medasi. It means thank you. And in response, you don't bring the welcome back because we have the aquaba is your welcome. But again, that means welcome like you're coming in. So in response, you just say Insumadasi. Thank you too. Okay, so say Insumadasi. Now, going back to what we were going over for the responses, when somebody greets you, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, mache, okay, good morning, mache, and you're talking to an elder male, you're going to respond, yaja, okay? Yaja is response for elder male, okay? Now, when you're responding to an elder female, you're going to say, yana, yana. So again, you have the ya, and then you have an enna. And the enna is actually one of the vowels for Twi. It doesn't appear on our in our language because it's an eh, and it looks like a backward 3. So I can't really type it for you, but I can use a capital E for that in reference to what we're doing. So you say ya na, or an elder female, ya and na, elder female. And for somebody who is your peer, so if you just go into class and you say mache, good morning, mache, to your friend, your peer, then your peer would respond to you, yenia, yenia. And that sound is nia. So you're here making that N sound. Nia, yania, yania. Okay, response for peer. And if you are an older person and you're responding to somebody younger than you, then you want to type ya son. Okay, ya son is response. And again, there's a letter that comes up there that is not in the English language. And we'll go over that at some point, but it's like a backwards C, and it's a O. Ya son. Ya son. So O. We have the O in Twi, vowel sound, and we have the O, which is O. Ya son. Son. Ya son. Okay. And that's someone a generation younger than you, not just like 2 years younger than you. So if it's just 2 years younger than you, then you just say it like it's a peer, ya nia, or 2 years older than you, ya nia. But if it's somebody a generation older than you, then you say, and it's a male, you say ya ja. And if it's a female, you say ya na. And for somebody younger than you, a generation younger than you, then you say ya son, ya son. Okay, so one more time, going over good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I'm going to use different responses and do a little role playing. So for the good morning, we have mache. And if if it was an older man who said that to me, I would reply back, ya ja. And if it was in the afternoon and I came across a woman who was my elder and she said to me, maha, maha, I would reply back to her, ya nia, ya na. I'm sorry. I would reply back to her, ya na. And if it was my peer in the evening, say my brother, and he said to me, majo, and I would reply back to him, ya nia. And if I saw my son and he said to me in the evening, majo, I would reply back to him, ya son. So those are the responses. And those responses can actually be used for a variety of things in the language when you're replying. One more thing I'll tell you now as we're on that topic of responses and replies and coming in and going. Another common phrase is aiko. And you hear a lot of those kind of sounds, oh and ah in Twi. So when somebody says aiko, that means you've done a good job. So if you do a really good dance, then we're gonna say aiko. And if we see you coming home and you worked a really long day and you're a mother or father carrying home groceries and you can tell you got off the trocho bus to coming home from work, then somebody passing you on the street will say to you, aiko, like, good job, you did your thing today. And so then, because it is a very supporting and celebrating culture, so that's a common thing. When you're coming home from work and you pass a neighbor, they're gonna say to you, aiko, and then you say back, depending on, again, the same responses. So I wanted to point that out to you all while we were on the topic of the responses. So again, if I was coming home from work and somebody who was a generation of my father said to me, aiko, then I would say, ya ja. And if it was somebody of the generation of my mother who said, aiko, I would say, ya na. And if it was somebody who was my peer saying, aiko, I would say, ya nia. And if it was a child, I would say, ya son. They would say, aiko, and I would say, ya son. So that's a very common thing here when people are coming home from work. You'll hear people saying, aiko, because they know that you did a whole day, a long day. Now you're coming home and they're saying, good job, you really did your thing today. And that's a regular everyday thing because we all know that every day, just getting through the day is an accomplishment to be celebrated. So Um, and then just while we're on the topic of, and before I leave that, let me just repeat one more time for you all to say, because a big part of this is saying it. And so while we're on this podcast, I will give you a chance to kind of repeat to yourself and hear it again. Aiko. Okay, let me hear you say Aiko. Oh, wow. Very good, very good. Okay, so now the last thing I didn't mention is when I had good evening is good night. And this literally is like good night, like when somebody's literally getting ready to get into the bed or go to bed, which is daye. So if I was putting my son to sleep and he was going to lay down, I say daye, because that is when somebody's going to sleep. And it basically is like good night, sleep well. So those are, that kind of sums up our morning to night communications. We did greetings, welcome as our opening. We went over responses, how to respond properly, the right way. We went a little bit into the different sounds, some of the different sounds. I'm not going to stress all the consonants and vowels at this time, but because a lot of them are similar, and the ones that are unique, unfortunately, I can't really spell out to you, but the main ones are the e and the o. Okay, those are the main ones that are different. Other than that, we have the same vowels as you have in English, and we have a lot of the same consonants that you see in English, but what you see differently are what grammatically would be called diagraphs. And basically, for those who are not familiar with that word, like me, you're talking about two words, two letters put together that make different sounds. And we went over some of the first ones when we talked about mache, and I showed you the spelling for mache is M-A-A-K-Y-E. And so you see that that K-Y makes a ch sound. And we went over majo, and we see that the DW makes a J sound. Those are very important things that you'll pick up if you are trying to actually read Twi, or you just need to briefly be able to identify how a word's going to sound based on you looking at it. So because we are visual and auditory, I will write out the words, the combinations basically. So DW will make the J, GY can also make a J. So we saw that again with Aja, which I told you is father. So Aja is father. For example, when you say Heavenly Father, you say Aja Awosaru, our Father who is in heaven. So you hear that Aja. Aja does mean father in Twi. So again, with our response, Ya Aja, for an elder male, you hear that. So the Ja has no J in that word, but it's spelled A-G-Y-A. But that G-Y makes a J sound. And that's something that you'll see again and again in Twi. We have a very famous symbol that I don't have a picture of for you today, but it's also an Adinkra symbol. And we're going to go over Adinkras in this class, but just as an introduction, Adinkra symbols are basically symbols of ancient art that was created in Ghana that symbolizes very different significant spiritual and physical elements of the world that can teach us lessons through basic proverbs. And there are many proverbs in the Akan culture, which is the culture that speaks Twi. And so these are ancient symbols. They're called Adinkra. And I will write them down for you. That there, I just wrote Adinkra. And that's a very big piece of Twi or Akan culture. And Akan is the clan group that speaks Twi. And again, I broke down the different groups, have the different dialects. Asante is a group within the Akan. You have the Fanti and you have the Akuyapin. Okay, so there's so much to learn. You just want to take your time and learn it as you can. But many of you, if you are at all familiar with Ghanaian culture, you may have heard Jinyami. Jinyami. And so Jinyami is a word that symbolizes the omnipotence of God. Basically, Jinyami symbolizes in full the omnipotence, omnipresence, omnificence of the Creator, the ever-presentness of the Creator. It's a symbol that symbolizes that the Creator is always present with us. There's not a time that the Creator is not present with us. So that whole sentence of things is actually embodied in that one word and that one Adinkra symbol, Jinyami. And it's a principle that's a part of the culture, very much part of the culture you will see when you do go to Ghana. But what I wanted to point out to you in bringing that Adinkra symbol up, as we're not going to go into depths in Adinkra symbols today, is that you see that G-Y sound making something similar to what you hear in English as a J. So Jinyami. And again, you also hear other sounds like the NY, Nyami, which is God, means God in Twi. And it's not pronounced in yam, which you see like it's spelled, or in yam, it's in yami. And that NY sound will make something like what you see in like Espanol, when they have a little curve over the N, which I also don't have on my typer here. But I'm going to give you a few more sounds. You have HY, which can make a sound like the WH, for example. So it makes that sound. And that's a sound that you will want to work on in Twi. And then you have HY, which makes like a she sound. It actually makes a totally different sound than you would expect. It makes like a SH sound. You have a word with that is shia, or which she, which is to burn, and that's HYIA. So again, that HY will make a totally different sound than you expect. It makes a sh sound. And this is just introductory, just so that you can practice some of the sounds. KW will make like a EQ sound, like equip, like the word equip, like you see in the word equip. And I'll make some notations there. TW, make a TR sound, just like you hear tree, tree. And that is TWI, of course. But it's not exactly like the TR sound, but probably the closest thing is the TR sound. I'm not going to go too far into that because we will run out of time. But basically, and that's a lot of information. It's a little introduction into the different sounds that you're going to be working on as you're learning Twi. Again, just practicing the word Twi is a good practice because it's definitely not Twi, which is the way that you would see it. The TWI come with the English, but you want to practice it with the combination sounds that I showed you with Twi. So you have a little bit of an R sound in there, and you have it coming with your tongue inside of your mouth. So Twi. Okay, and just to go over one more thing, I think we could, a couple more things we can do today We didn't get to go. Let's see how much we can pack in a couple more minutes just to throw at you guys so we can try to finish everything we had on the agenda. And I'm glad that we got to do an in-depth practice. I hope it was helpful. One of the main things that people do when they see each other is say, how are you? Just like when we see each other here, how you doing? So I should definitely give you that, which is Wuhuntesen. Wuhuntesen. Again, I don't have the e, so it's a little bit different than I wrote it, but it's basically that. Wuhuntesen. And Wuhuntesen means how are you? That's the formal way of asking. And response is mehuye. Mehuye. And meh is me. Okay, and wo is you. So those are two basic things that you can see there too and learn. Meh is me. So it's basically actually spelled the same as in English and Twi. And wo is you. So what we have is, again, asking, how are you? Wuhuntesen. And the response is mehuye. Okay? And so we're going to practice this live for you. It's a little bonus. And but I'm going to give you the shortened version first. So this is way easier to respond. A couple shortened ones. And then I'm just going to spring it live on my special guest here. Hello. So, Wuhuntesen moye. That's the full out way of saying it, basically. Formal, more formal. Wuhuntesen moye. Wuhuntesen moye. Okay, good. And so it's often shortened because, you know, as African people, we kind of put a little shortened, little slang on everything. So it's shortened to etesen, and most of the time, or a lot of the time, you'll just hear people saying that etesen. So that's just kind of like a quicker version of how are you? Yeah, etesen. And the quick response is eye, which just means literally good, because yeah, eye means good. So Wuhuntesen moye, or just a quick one. Let's do a quick one for them. Etesen moye. Oh wow, she did the long one. Okay, and the short one, etesen eye. Okay, so eye is just a quick response, and then another response, which is kind of like another type of little slang or swang that people put on it, is just like etesen. This is like boko. Can respond boko, and again you're hearing that oh, and that's just like cool. It literally means soft, but basically like, yeah, everything's cool, everything's easy. So you just say boko, etesen boko. Okay, and that's really easy. You can use that all over Ghana all the time. Etesen boko. Okay, and the last thing for the day, I just want you to practice, and we'll go over this again, is medin, medindi, 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 and your name. So I have Deja here with me today, and we're gonna have Medindi, Deja. Medindi, Deja. Very good. So again, my tree name is Ama. So Medindi Ama Apreku. And that's my last name is Apreku, which is my surname. Medindi is my name is. Me, again, is me. And sometimes you will see it M-E, sometimes you will see it M-I. Medindi Ama. That's din is name. Din means name. Din means name. So if you want to ask somebody what is your name, say Wadindi Sen. And when you're asking questions, a lot of time you'll hear that sen at the end. It's kind of like a form of a question mark you see in English, or a how or why. It implies the question, sen. It implies what, how. It's interchangeable. So you can be asking somebody, how much does it cost? And you can say, a sen. How much does it cost? So that sen is very representative in the language of how or what. What is your name? Wo is you. Again, we talked about that. Wo is you. So if I want to ask you, what is your name out there? I'll say, Wadindi sen. So I'm going to ask you all tonight, what is your name? Wadindi sen. My name, Madindi Amma. Madindi Amma. And another way to say it and ask is just like, you know, when people say, oh, you know, or they call me, yeah, you know, they call me Amma. So you can say, Yefreme Amma. They call me. And that's another common way that you will hear people saying my name is. There's two common ways people say your name. One is Madindi Amma, and the other one is Yefreme Amma. Yeah, and Fre is call. Fre is call. And again, we don't have the proper e vowel here, but you're gonna see it. It's like a backward 3. That's not exactly how it looks, but that's close. Fre is call. So they call me. Yeah is they. Yeah is they. So they call me Amma. Yefreme. They call me Yefreme Amma. And then if you want to ask somebody, what do they call you? You're going to say, yeah, Fre Wilson. Your friend Wilson. Your friend Wilson. Your friend Wilson. And then you will reply, your friend me, and your name. And again, Amma is my day name. I actually go by Najara, which is a combination of Twi and Ga and Kemetic language. But my Twi name is Amma. And I want to encourage everybody out there to find out what their Twi name is. And I'm going to close it up with this. We said a 45 minutes to an hour. We're at 50 minutes now. So we're going to close it up with this, talking about the day names. Okay, so your Kradin, your day name. Okay, so basically every day in Ghana for Twi, for Akan culture, has a name, okay, that goes along with it. And this is the last bit of information. I think we've gone over a lot of information for first-time learners, and it's the last bit of information, okay, that we're going to go over. Every day has a name. So we have, we'll start with Sunday, and you'll have to find out on your own what day you were born. But according to what day you were born, that day has a name. So commonly we have Kwasi, also Kwesi, for Sunday for males. And traditionally, it's Akwasi. And I actually have a son who's Sunday born, who's Akwasi. But Kwasi is what you hear more, or Kwesi. Again, a dialect difference. Okay, and Sunday for females is Kosua. Kosia. So a Kosia is females. Kosia. And a lot of times, for short, they will call those people Ako. Okay, on to Monday. Monday, for males, we have Kwejo. And again, the traditional spelling is like that, with the Kwejo. I'm sorry, Kwejo. That's a traditional spelling. And you see that sound. But a common way that people spell it now with English modern spelling is K-W-K-O-J-O, because again, those are the difference. It's a good way you can see how those sounds come in English and how they come in Twi. Kwejo is modern spelling for male on Monday. For female on Monday is Adwa. And again, there's two spellings, but I will give you one for now because we're in a rush. Adwa. Adwa is female for Monday. Tuesday, which is actually the day I was born, but they named me after my grandmother, who was Amma, but if they were giving me a traditional day name, it would have been Abina, which is the best day to be born on. Right. Abina, Tuesday is Abina for female. And we're going to go over the significance of each day next week because we've gone over too much. And for male, it's Kwabina. Tuesday for male. Kwabina. Kwabina. And you can hear the way those names are sound better. So Kwabina and Abina. And a lot of people I hear, and I say this all for you guys, is a really important thing, mispronouncing these names. And I know a lot of people in America, African Americans, want to connect with their roots, so they'll take a Twi name with their day name and they will not pronounce it right. For example, a lot of times people say Abina, but it's not Abina, it's Abina. Okay, good. So for Wednesday, this is another commonly mispronounced language sound when people are learning their day name, which is for females, Akuya. Akuya. And a lot of time people, because it's spelled A-K-U-A, will say Akua. And it's not pronounced Akua. And that's a commonly really butchered sound for Twi. And sorry for all you Akuas out there. I have a good friend who goes by that. But it's Akuya. If you really want to learn the right phonetics for Twi, it's Akuya, not Akua. For a male, it's Kweku. Kweku. Male on Wednesday. Akuya. Male on Wednesday. And there's a lot of different spellings for these names, but the pronunciations in Twi pretty much say the same, unless they're being pronounced by English, and then they change it, like I told you. Okay. For a male, we're almost done. We're on to Thursday. Thursday is Ya for a woman, Ya. And for woman. And Thursday for man is Yao. Okay, Friday for man is Kofi. Friday for woman is Afia or Afua. Afua or Afia. Different pronunciations. Okay. Saturday for women is Ama, which is actually my name, my given name, after my grandparents. And that's Saturday for a woman, Ama. And you can put two A's at the end sometimes. And for a male, which is my oldest son's name, is Kwame. Kwame is Saturday for a male. So please take the time to try to find your name. So the next time that we meet, you can say, Yefreme, your name. Okay, so for me, in the day names, Yefreme Ama and Medasipa. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And again, with Twi, we have a lot of sounds that are tonal. Pa is when you want to say a lot. So if you want to say you really like something, you want to add that pa, 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 pa. And sometimes you'll hear people in conversation like that, even in a taxi, they want to emphasize something. It's like pa, 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 pa. And that's just like a P-A, pa. So thank you very much. Medasi pa. Medasi pi. P is another way of emphasizing that. Thank you very much. Medasi pa. Medasi pi. Thank you. Everybody have a good night. Sleep well. Ndaye. Okay, until next time, we will see each other soon. Ibisha. Medasi.